Okay, so it is a dreary, cold, early spring day here in southeast Oklahoma. It has been raining all day, and it just quit long enough for me to come out here into the woods and share with you a Bigfoot encounter from this very part of the state. Happened not probably 20 miles from where I'm standing right here. And this comes from a person that's a friend of mine. He's a doctor down in this part of the country. At the time of this sighting that I'm fixing to read to you, he was not a doctor. He's about the same age as me. But this happened in 1988, and I talked to him earlier today, and he gave me permission to share this sighting, which I always get permission before I read these off. He did not want me to share his name at this point, though I did talk to him about having a sit-down interview with him where he could go over this and what he thinks about these creatures and their nature, which I think we can talk him into it. So anyway, I'm going to read to you what he reported to me, and I got this report from him back in 2002 when I had my website, southernbigfoot.com was what it was called, in which I documented cases primarily from the state of Oklahoma. I have reports in there from other parts of the country as well. But for this YouTube channel, I've decided to focus namely on the state of Oklahoma, which is where I've grown up. I was born and raised here, never lived anywhere else. Don't really want to. I like it here. But anyway, like I say, this comes from November of 1988. Like I say, not very far from here. And I'm going to read this report as it was given to me and is in my documents here, and maybe comment a little bit on it afterward. Like I say, he requested that I not use his name at this time. So anyway, this is what it says. The location took place on Highway 1, about 6 miles east of Ada, Oklahoma, which is, like I say, this area that I grew up in. And this person reported that he was driving. This was 1 a.m. in the morning. Let me back up a little bit there. 1988, November, approximately 1 a.m. in the morning. And he said he was driving along Highway 1 when the car in front of him swerved as if to miss something that was either in the road or very near the road. After the car had cleared that area, he says that he noticed 2 pair of green glowing eyes that he perceived to be too high off the ground for deer. Okay? As he came closer, he observed 2 large humanoid figures begin to walk from the north side of the highway toward the woods, and both turned to look at him as they were walking away toward the woods. And he described them as having a sort of grayish brown hair, and he said that's at least as he could perceive from his headlights, and he said that was over their entire body. The eyes, which is said is all he can recall of their faces, he said were deep set and reflected a greenish color in his headlights. And he estimated that the shorter of the 2 was about 6 feet in height and of a powerful, stocky build, where he said the taller one was still of a stocky build, yet a bit more lanky built than the shorter one. He said that both had long arms that hung to, he estimated, about 6 inches above the knees. Their heads both, he said, came to a point, and he said that they seemed to have no neck, and that they both turned to look at him as he passed them. He said they both turned, and turning their entire upper bodies to look at him. He goes on to say that they walked in a sort of hunched over fashion, and said that they walked away unhurriedly, not running, as if they were unconcerned with him, yet he said he somehow got the impression they just didn't want anything to do with him. And he described their walk as being much like the creature that he had seen in the Patterson film. And like anybody that is into Bigfoot, we are all very familiar with Patty, the object of the Patterson film. And he said, you know, he always wondered, I could tell you this report from memory, I'm just reading it off to be exact. You know, he was kind of thinking the person in front of him that had swerved to miss him may report this or whatever, but he said he never heard anything about anybody that was in the car in front of him, which is not uncommon. A lot of people, you know, would see something like this. For fear of ridicule, they would choose just not to say anything. So that being said, of this individual who, like I said, he's now a doctor, has been for, I think he's been a doctor in this area for around 15 years, maybe a little longer now. He began researching this subject quite extensively since then, and being a doctor over the last several years, he kind of looks into it from a scientific standpoint, which, like I said, today I had a conversation with him about his sighting, and we discussed, as I mentioned in a previous video, about what these things could be. And like I said, I'm not in the camp that believes these are just simply an undiscovered ape, and I certainly do not believe they are a remnant of Gigantopithecus. And I discussed that with him, and he doesn't fall into that either. And like I said, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a medical professional, so hearing him agree with me on this, being a doctor himself, was quite interesting to say, because like Gigantopithecus, what do we have of them? We got part of the jawbone, couple of teeth, that's it. And what they know of it is it's very closely related to the orangutan. Now, if we go back to the Pleistocene era and stuff, we see there was a lot of megafauna back then. There was giant sloths, and now we have sloths, but they're smaller. Back then, I read an article today that said the Gigantopithecus was the largest orangutan that ever existed. And that was in one article I've read. Is it possible that the orangutan today is just the remnant of it that's not a megafauna? I mean, it could be. And like I've said before, I don't mean that in any disrespect toward the folks that research this subject, that believe that Bigfoot, Sasquatch could be a remnant of Gigantopithecus. I'm just not in that camp. That's me. Now, when I say that, that's not to ridicule people of differing views. There's a lot of different views out there about Sasquatch, Bigfoot, what is it. About every native tribe in the United States has a legend or folklore about these creatures. They call them by different names, but they all have their legends concerning it. So what is it? We don't know what it is. I encourage everyone to keep an open mind and don't shut anybody down on the discussion if it's a different view than what you may have. But my view is it is not simply an ape. And my friend that gave me this report long ago, and we have a lot of discussions about this. He does not believe it's in the ape camp either. He puts it, in his opinion, is more closely related to us, which is what I believe. Now, how right am I? I don't know. I'm guessing. Just going on what research I've done, what data that I've gathered. I'm just not in the ape or monkey camp, and I don't see myself going that direction with it. So anyway, that was me babbling a little bit there, so you'll have to overlook that. And I got to share something funny a little bit. I got a message from somebody that watched one of my videos, and he let me know that he was an English major and I was not using proper grammar. Well, my goodness, I'm from southeast Oklahoma. Just that I've got grammar at all is a small miracle. But anyway, no offense taken, and I say to that gentleman, if he watches this, thanks for watching these videos, and I hope you do enjoy them despite my sometimes bad grammar. But anyway, that's all with this video. And as I said before, if you like what I'm doing, if you like these videos, like the information I'm sharing, I would encourage you to like, share, subscribe to this channel, and I will keep them coming. And like I said, I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for watching.